All right, to start back course to talk about some Square Enix. We have some pretty big news in regards to SE. We got their fiscal year 2024 financial reports, and I don't know what all is worth talking about from this. I haven't looked through the whole thing myself yet. But the main talking point from this is Square Enix talking about going multi-platform, specifically mentioning their AAA titles and their major franchises, and they say verbatim Xbox, Nintendo, and PC within the financial report, which is kind of interesting. So let's just read this really quickly. Diversify earnings opportunities by strengthening customer contact points. Shift to a multi-platform strategy. For HD titles, the group will aggressively pursue a multi-platform strategy that includes Nintendo platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, and PCs, especially in regards to major franchises and AAA titles, including catalog titles. It will build an environment where more customers can enjoy our titles. In addition, it will also devise a platform strategy for SD titles that include not only iOS and Android, but also the possibility of PC launches. Furthermore, the group will strive to maximize acquisitions of new users when launching a title and that of recurring users after starting management of game operation. There's obviously more to the financial report than just this. There's a medium-term, 3-year business plan sort of thing. But of course, the multi-platform thing is what's kind of making all the rounds, what people are kind of talking about. And something we talked about on the channel a lot over the last 4 to 5 years now, covering the 7 remake project and shit, is that I've never been the biggest fan of it being exclusive. I get it. I understand it. We know why it's an exclusive. But I've always wanted it to be available kind of to everybody, to Xbox, to PC, if it could fucking make it work on the Switch, put it on the Switch somehow. What bothered me the most initially when it came to the remake project being exclusive was that prior to that, something like 15, which was the the most recent numbered entry, launched on PS4 and Xbox. It obviously came to PC at a later point, but it wasn't platform exclusive. And then 13 was kind of as well. It was exclusive to PlayStation in Japan, but once it launched worldwide, it was on 360 and PS3. In regards to 15, it was the biggest launch we ever had for the Final Fantasy franchise, right? It was 5 million or some shit day one. Now, I think a lot of that was PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know how much of it was actually on the Xbox platform. But all the same, it came out multi-platform. It was the biggest launch of the franchise. And also they had a really long, technically long marketing cycle with the whole Versus 13 shit and development hell and switching to the next numbered entry and so on and so forth, obviously. There's a lot of hype behind 15. First open world entry, etc., etc. But still, biggest launch. Obviously, even with the exclusive, Remake did really good. It had 3.5 million sales, I think, in the first 2 or 3 days. But imagine how big the launch would have been if it would have been on Xbox. Who knows how many sales would have been there? But around the time 2020, around the time that Remake came out, Xbox was still 40 or 50 million units sold. Right, the Xbox Ones in the world. So that's at least it's still a big install base. Who knows how many would have bought it? And then obviously the PC platform, which is the biggest platform in the world, right? If you would have had that day one, this would have been by far probably the biggest launch in the entire franchise. So I said before when it comes to discussing this on the channel that you think they'd want that. It's kind of weird they limited Remake, which is, a remake of probably the most iconic game in the entire franchise. You think you'd want that accolade of it being the biggest launch in the series, but they held it back by leaving it on one platform. And it seems like as time's gone on that this exclusive shit has been kind of biting them in the ass because they're wanting to go multi-platform now. I don't know if that's in regards specifically to the Final Fantasy franchise. I don't even really know off the top of my head how many of their games are exclusive to certain platforms, right? Just off the top of my head. I just really keep up with the Final Fantasy shit here on the channel, obviously. But it seems like it's not been working for them for the last couple of years. Which makes you wonder, too, with something like 16, right? If 16 had a day one launch on at least PC as well, potentially Xbox, how well would that game have done? Because I think it did decently well, right? There's obviously a lot of hype behind 16. I think it was at least critically well received. I just don't think it sold at crazy numbers like they were hoping. But again, if you had a day one on PC, for sure, they're done really well, I think. Kind of annoying too with these exclusives they do with the Final Fantasy franchise is that there's a PC release on the horizon, right? With Remake, it took just under 2 years to come to PC, but obviously it went to PS5 a year and some months afterwards. But you look at other franchises, something like God of War 2018, just kind of a random example. That game was exclusive to PlayStation for almost 4 years, right? It was pretty close to 3 to almost 4 years before it came to PC, right? Whereas with the Final Fantasy franchise, it's just wait a year. Wait a year and a half and you can buy it on PC. It's these kind of weird, almost pointless exclusives that are obviously going to a certain degree, sell consoles. I mean, they sold them to me. I bought a PS4 for Remake. I bought a PS5 for Rebirth, obviously. But not everybody's going to do that. And I only really do that because I'm a content creator, right? If I wasn't doing this YouTube shit, I probably would have waited to buy a PS4. Probably would have waited to buy a PS5, to be honest. Also, just for me personally, I'm exclusively a console gamer. If I was a PC gamer, if I had a badass gaming PC and I knew these Final Fantasy games were coming to PC, I'd probably just wait. Why would I want to spend $400 or $500 or whatever I paid for the PS5, a year or two ago, when I could just wait and just buy the game at $60 or $70? It's kind of more or less a video. It's sort of and I told you so video, not meant to be, but it kind of turned into that. But it's something I've been saying for a long time. Like, I think a lot of these big franchises, if you want to make the most money, drop them on the most platforms. I'm not a business savvy. I'm just a guy with a fucking microphone and a YouTube channel. But that shit just adds up to me. The math is mathing on that, right? Drop the games on every platform you can. You probably make the most money. Seems pretty simple. I know there's like development that goes into this shit. You got to make it for the Xbox. You got to make it for the PlayStation. You got to make it for the Switch. You got to make it for the PC. I get all that. But at the end of the day, if you're trying to make money, that makes the most sense. Mainly with the PC platform of all things, at least. Like, if you could day one like a Final Fantasy game on PlayStation and PC, there's like, for anywhere from like 1.5 to 2 billion PC players. Like, why would you not want your game on that platform day one if you could do it? Anyways, of course, going forward, this is exciting. We're talking exclusively about Final Fantasy with this video because that's what we talk about on the channel. They could be about all kinds of different series and franchises that they have under the Square Enix umbrella. But at least with Final Fantasy going forward, hopefully, it's multi-platform. Like, we need these games to be available to everybody, dude. Like, if the 9 remake's real, like, I mean, I don't know if they're... what that is, if it exists at all, if it was meant to be exclusive, it's going to be exclusive. What does that mean also, actually, thinking about that? Since they're having a 3-year plan, that's about the time it takes to develop, a remake game in the trilogy. What does that mean for, remake part 3? Is that going to be PS5 exclusive for like a year? Or is that going to launch on also PC with maybe an Xbox release at a later point? Or the Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be called at a later point? Or how's that all going to work, right? I don't know. It's exciting. Of course, pass off to you guys. What are your thoughts on this? What other franchises are there that are PlayStation exclusive technically that could maybe be multi-platform going forward? I think Nier Automata, however you say that shit. The game was like PlayStation exclusive for like a year, right? And then came to like other platforms. So maybe that could be another franchise going forward that is multi-platform. Like maybe they won't have like the year exclusive bullshit or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new to works in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye. Why am I running out of breath? I need to get back in shape.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.